Red for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is creating hypnotherapy sessions for healing, self love, and spiritual experiences, inspiring others to feel good and treat each other with compassion. No other than Miss Elizabeth Catherine.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome to Book 101, Miss Elizabeth, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
So, I'm a hypnotherapist. I've spent the last 48 years as a spiritual seeker, and I've always been looking for that connection to love, that place where you feel whole and clear and united with others. So if you ever are walking down the street and you just have that moment of true connection with someone, you say hello, but it really feels like you're connecting with them. And to me, that's this thread of love that sort of goes through all of us. And so I've spent my whole life looking for a way to bring that out in myself and in others. And I found that hypnotherapy is the best way to do it because you can really relax your mind and your body, and you sort of get this clarity of thought. It sort of shuts down this part of your brain that questions everything, that says, "Oh, how does this affect me? And what if I did this? And what if that's wrong?" It turns that off and it gives you this moment of stillness and this place where you can really connect to what it is that you're looking for in your life, whether it's peace, calm, connection, love, clarity. It's all there. It's all within you and your own subconscious. So I'm a true believer in we're creating our own worlds. And so I try to help people and myself do that through hypnotherapy.
Miss Elizabeth Catherine, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the
Thank
world.
you.
How does hypnotherapy access the reprogrammed subconscious belief about self worth more effectively than conscious techniques like affirmations or talk therapy alone?
So what I teach, we actually use it all together. I mean, I'm not a therapist, but I definitely encourage people to explore, their deeper issues in that way, and affirmations are definitely a part of my work, and we using hypnotherapy to solidify those affirmations is something essential to what we do. And when you're in the subconscious state, you're able to sort of create an complete reality for yourself. Sort of like when you have a dream that's so real and you wake up and maybe you're mad at your partner because they did something to you in a dream, and right? We've all had that, like, "I'm so mad at you." "Oh, wait, that was dream
True.
you. It's okay." So your mind can create these situations that feel just as real to you and to your subconscious mind and to your neurotransmitters and your hormones and all the reactions that are happening in your body. You can create that sensation in your mind, and so we can use that to deliberately create a situation where, say, you're doing a belief change and say you want to cut out sugar, and you can create a situation where every time you look at something sugary, you feel that sticky, icky feeling. You find the one thing you don't like about the sugar, and you focus on that in your subconscious, and you build it up and create it. And then you look at a cake and you're like, "Oh, that's gonna make me feel terrible." And you just don't want it anymore. So it can be really, really successful in anything, and not just physical things, but emotional and spiritual things that you want to change within yourself as well.
What are the most common subconscious root causes of self loathing, like childhood messaging, trauma, or societal conditioning that hypnotherapy effectively address?
Well, it's different for everybody, obviously. So a lot of people have a root belief that they're just not good enough. And that's something that I come across a lot, is people feeling like they don't deserve to have the things that they want. And so with that, we start, instead of looking at that, we're looking at building up your self-worth. We're not going to look at the negative part. We're going to look at the positive part and help people to build up that sense of self-worth and self-love instead.
Interesting indeed, Miss Elizabeth. And how does hypnotherapy leverage neuroplasticity to literally rewire a neural pathways associated with negative self perception?
So, just like everything we've been saying, it brings your mind to a place where A, you're very clear thinking. B, you've shut down that part of your brain that's questioning why everything. Um, why is this working? Is this working? You can sort of condition your brain just to quiet that down even deeper. And then you're creating these experiences for yourself where you're literally training your brain to form new neural pathways. Because, as you know, every time you do something and every time you repeat it, you're making a stronger and stronger neural pathway for your brain. And so, if you're deliberately doing that, think of the power you have in your mind. If you can deliberately create the neural pathways that you want for a healthier, more fulfilling life, imagine, right? Imagine everything you could do with that.
Indeed. Why is a deeply relaxed, suggestible state of hypnosis uniquely potent for planting seeds or self love compared to waking consciousness?
Well, personally, I believe that so when you're sleeping, that is when you're processing all of the information that you're having. Everything that's happened to you during the day, you process while you're asleep, which is why you get so tired if you've had a really stressful, long day. Or if you've had a really exciting day, you're so worn out because your brain's telling you, okay, let's go to sleep and process everything that happened and let those neural pathways really take hold. But when you're in hypnosis, you can do both. You can deliberately create an experience for yourself and you can start to process that experience at the same time because you're in the slow wave patterns where your brain is able to start to process some of the information that of the things that you're experiencing. So when you're in hypnosis, you've got both going on. Does that make sense?
Makes sense and interesting indeed.
The brain is fascinating. It constantly is,
Yes.
making me surprised and amazed at all the things it can do.
How do you personalize hypnotherapy scripts and imagery to resonate with the client's unique history, personality, and specific self love blockages?
Right. So what we do is I like to do a nice long intake where we really get to know the person and get to know what their root causes might be and what their sensory type is. Some people are more prone to being able to visualize. Some people are more prone to being able to smell and create memories. Some people are more sensitive to taste or touch. So, what we do in hypnotherapy is we combine it all to make a full experience. But if I know that you are really prone to liking senses of smell and to linking those to memory, I'm going to include more smell in everything. If I know that you're very visual, I'll go real deep into the color. That's me. I'm very visual. I do love smell and feel and all of it combined, but I'm really visual. So I'm good at getting real deep into the visuals. And so and then we'll avoid things that might trigger something. We don't want to trigger negative experiences. We want to create positive, beautiful experiences. And if I know that you like warm hugs, we'll put that in there, to build up the feeling of love. If I know that you're just really into the feeling of things, sorry, then we'll maybe build that up. So I'll build up whatever it is that's most intense for you when you're in hypnosis, and we'll use your name a lot. Simple.
Simple and easy to you relax.
Mhm.
What happens when a client's subconscious receives a positive suggestions?
Well, when you're receiving these positive suggestions, you're starting to build up even if I just say something like, "You are thin and beautiful." You're seeing the image of yourself thin and beautiful. And so you're starting to create those neural pathways. And the more you hear it and the more you practice, the stronger those neural pathways are. So hypnotherapy really is best not just once, but over and over and over. So if I'm working with a client, they'll get the recording to take home, and then they are supposed to listen over and over and over and over until they feel like it really sets in. And then you can shift and see what else is needed, because as you know, as you keep growing, you uncover new things that you say, "Oh, well, this is the tweak I need to make right here. I need this thing to change." And then we'll tweak it and we'll change the wording and find a new path to keep growing.
Keep growing and learning people every day.
Yep.
What does a typical self love focus hypnotherapy sessions involve beyond induction and deep relaxation?
Right. So we'll do a deep relaxation, and I have a lot of different scripts that I write, and for me what I do is I actually just close my eyes, and there's some intuitive connection and intuitive reading that goes along with it for me. So for individuals, it's always different. So I'll connect spiritually with you, and then I start to get images myself, and I just start to narrate those. And a lot of times, one that I do will go through. We go out into space, and you feel the universe and the expansiveness. And then you start to go maybe closer to a light, and you see that in this light, there's a beautiful, loving figure, and that figure holds you in this beautiful, warm hug. And as you sort of melt into that hug, and in your subconscious, you really accept all of this, and it's really just you get this beautiful imagery, and you sort of fall through the light, the person, the being holding you, and find yourself in a new world. And then we might take you up to this beautiful building, and you go in, and we describe everything in detail so that you keep going deeper and keeping you really in the experience. You're feeling the cold handle of the door as you open it up, and counting steps as you go up, and that helps you go deeper and deeper down. And then we might go into a room where you see beautiful, loving beings. And when I'm talking to everybody, I keep it really open so that people can really identify with whatever it is they want to be seeing. So I can say may look like angels or beings of light, or just love, or loved ones living or past or present. And then they sort of surround you with this feeling of love and light, and you just get filled with this beautiful feeling of love, light, energy. And then we slowly bring you out of it, maintaining that feeling of peace and love and self-love and comfort.
Miss Elizabeth, I can feel it right now.
Uh,
How do you ensure the hypnotic state remains a safe, empowering container for clients revisiting vulnerable memories or emotions?
so when I do group hypnosis, like through my podcast, I'm very careful to make sure I say, if you have any childhood trauma or anything that might be brought up, either talk to your therapist before you do this, have them have an appointment on hand, or don't do it, because I never want someone to come across a memory that's painful for them. We typically try to avoid painful memories in my practice because I'm not a therapist, I'm just a hypnotherapist. They're two separate things, but they can be used together. For someone who's really going to dig up past trauma, either we'll make sure they have an appointment with their therapist. If they really want to do it, we would work hand in hand with their therapist. Or I would say find someone who is really good at that. If something happens to come up, we just sit with it, and we can experience something from a distance, like look like as if you're looking down at the experience, and as if it's somebody else, and so that helps you to maintain that separation from it. If someone's experiencing something that's uncomfortable for them, that's usually what we do. And then we make sure and sit and take a long time to process after you come out of the hypnosis. And I've never actually had somebody who had something that was too strong to process, because I'm very careful about what we work on together. And if it's something that's really deep, we do it with a therapist. So,
Very well said, Miss Elizabeth. Beautifully articulated. What are the earliest, most common signs client notice outside the tensions or session? Critics or criticism, setting boundaries, or speaking kindly to themselves, indicating the work is taking root.
So, mostly the very first thing that happens is people come and open their eyes and they just say, I feel so at peace, or I feel so filled with love. And really, that's the goal because that's what we're walking toward is we're walking toward being in a state of love. All of this together, it just comes back to loving yourself and loving others. And of course, healthy boundaries and setting healthy boundaries is that's sort of like a side effect, I feel like. That's something that comes along naturally once you start to be filled with this feeling of love because it doesn't stop at yourself. I'm not a proponent of that whole turn the other cheek. Always give the other person the benefit of the doubt. Keep forgiving. Yeah, keep forgiving, but don't forget. So setting those boundaries when you love yourself and when you're at peace with who you are and you have self-love is just a side effect. It happens naturally because you say, "Oh, I can't love myself and feel good about myself if this is going on. So here's the boundary." So I'd say the first thing is love. You start to feel loved and love for others.
Love and love and love indeed. Love one another as you love yourself. And Miss Elizabeth, as inspiring others to feel good and treat each other with compassion through hypnotherapy, what are your short term and long term goals?
Well, my short-term goals are to help as many people as I can, little by little, to start to feel love for themselves and for others, and to treat themselves with respect first, so that they feel good and can go out and treat others with respect. My long-term goals are to change the entire world, one person at a time, by giving people the space to feel loved and love for themselves, and then hoping that they'll then go out and affect others positively and spreading love that way. The ripple effect is my
The
long-term goal.
ripple effect.
World
I want
peace.
that.
That's the long-term goal.
I want that, Miss Elizabeth. Ripple effect, and of course, world peace itself
That's
and climate change.
all of it.
Oh,
Hey, if we love ourselves, we will also love our planet, which is a big part of my work as well.
definitely. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be like you?
Well, I would say start by getting quiet. I like to leave my phone at home. It's radical. I'll go out in the car and I'll run errands without my phone and just be observant and quiet and watch people and really take the world in. I think that's step 1 is just living naturally and watching and observing and remembering that for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, we were virtually in silence as a species.
Yes.
And recently, the last 100 years or so, the world's gotten so much noisier and we've gotten so much more condensed and so much more connected. And so I would say get quiet, return to silence.
Yes, our noisiness affect everything. It outbalance the world, even the species around us.
Absolutely.
And thank you for your advice, Miss Elizabeth. And what practical tools or post hypnotic suggestion help clients to anchor the integrate self love insight in their daily lives between sessions?
So things I suggest is using a mantra, and usually we'll come up with, or an affirmation, and usually we'll come up with that before the session. And it always should be positive. So we don't use the words no, not, un. So instead of saying I am not fat, you say I am thin. Instead of saying I am not unloved, which is a double negative, you say I am loved. Okay, so you got it like that. So you come up with a positive affirmation for yourself and just repeat that anytime that you're feeling funky. And then I would also say connect with nature. I love to be in the trees. I feel that they're sentient, beautiful beings, and it brings me a lot of peace. And I feel that it brings everybody a lot of peace to be out in nature and among the trees, especially, and to just observe the love between people is what I like to do, and observe, take note of that feeling when you connect with someone and you feel that love between you. Take note and recognize that that is the universal love that you can connect to at any time through spirit or whatever your belief is, God, however you call it. You can connect to that feeling of universal love because it's in all of us. And it's what happens when we connect to each other, and it's our natural state of being. So if you notice it more, you start to become closer to it.
Miss Elizabeth, can you recommend a book that influenced your journey?
Yes, I loved Brian Weiss's book called Same Soul, Many Bodies. And it's sort of starts like most of his books start with doing case studies, talking about clients and things that have happened, transformations that have happened through past life regression. And then he starts to go take his clients to the future, and they start to see the different paths to the future, if they make certain changes in their lives. And it's transformational knowing what and really seeing with hypnotherapy, really being able to map out what something that you're doing might how something that you're doing might influence the future, and how easy that is to change once you see what's in store for you if you don't like it, because you're experiencing it as its reality. And so you're saying, oh, that all those feelings are not something I want to experience. And so I found it to be a really cool, interesting book on the power of hypnotherapy and past life regression.
Thank you very much for your recommendation, Miss Elizabeth. But before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in its fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101, Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in its fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. Miss Elizabeth, beyond feeling better, what does authentic embodied self love enable a person to do or become in their life that was previously blocked?
I think a lot of what it enables us to do is have more energy, first of all. Definitely allows us to connect deeper with our family members, and gives us a joy for a living that is unparalleled. Once you live from a place of love, anytime that you're not experiencing that, which it does ebb and flow for everybody, I think, anytime you're experiencing down the down scoop of it, you're just working to get back to it, because it's an amazing, incredible feeling that I think everybody should be able to experience.
Miss Elizabeth Catherine, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, as well as your podcast itself?
Yes, so my website is elizabethcatherine.com, with Catherine with a C. And there you can book sessions, find out more about my work. And my podcast is called Self Hypnosis for Healing, where we talk a little bit about spirituality and a topic for the week. And then we'll actually do a self hypnosis session. It's in two parts so that you don't have to listen to the talk if you want to do the hypnosis session over and over.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Elizabeth Catherine because if you support her, more and more and more empowering hypnosis to come, more and more empowering episode of the podcast itself. So, Miss Elizabeth, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. This was great.
More to come, people. See you soon.